What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Feels like a Friday because it's, we got the 4th tomorrow. I hope everybody has awesome 4th plans. I'm not going to be around tomorrow. I'm going to be in and out over the next few days. And then we've got the All-Star break. So it's going to be sort of a little bit sporadic. We'll piece it together and get you guys all the content we can. I'll talk through a little bit about this slate. I've done some updated builds, and I will put them right now into the Discord Premium so you guys can see a little bit about what I'm doing. And I will go talk through basically my favorite plays in just a minute. Reminder, when you guys get on in, please hit the like button. Please fire on in questions and thoughts, ideas, things that you guys are doing that are different than maybe others, and we'll go from there. So just looking at the for the pitching, as far as pitching goes, I actually think it's a pretty decent pitching slate to take some shots. There's guys to spend up on. I do think that Snell and Webb would be my two picks if I was like playing a cash game lineup. I like Joe Ryan a ton. I do think that with that weather in KC, there is always a little bit more potential for some offense on the other side. So I have him just a little bit below the other guys, but really, really close between Joe Ryan, Webb, and Snell as the SP1s. I'm going to be below the field on Tyler Wells, but I'll have some. I will be with the field on Herman, maybe even a little bit ahead. I will be above the field on Brian Wu. And I'm going to play Michael Grove in one of my big buy-ins so I can stack Atlanta, which we'll get into in a minute. I also threw in a couple of Gavin Williams. I have Grove and Gavin Williams as my get weird plays along with Berea, but I'm also going to be playing the other side of all of those things. Catcher, Sean Murphy and Will Smith are my favorites. Christian Vasquez is the value option. First base, Santana. You have Solano at like 2,500 and Santana at 26. I would prefer to play Santana over Solano, all things being equal. We don't know how long, they don't have as many bats they can bring in on the Minnesota side, but just beware that you will potentially see some pinch hits there. Anyway, Santana I have ahead of Solano. Santana, Solano, Olsen as my favorite spend up in Freddie Freeman. Second base, LeMahieu just kind of fit in a couple spots. I don't love the play, but I think it's fine. He's still leading off for the Yankees. He's 3K. It's cheap enough where I'm just going to probably end up doing that. Kyle Farmer is the logical chalky choice. I'm going to have some of that as well. And then Ozzie Albies, when I can get to my Brave stacks, and then you get into Vargas and Nick Gonzalez. Third base, Muncy, Riley, Miranda, Farmer, and Gunnar Henderson are who I have right now. Shortstop, Betts, Correa, Nick Gonzalez, and that's pretty much most of my shortstop pool. I am going to be pretty heavy on those guys. Outfield, Peralta, Sawinski, Hayward, Buxton, Acuna, Ozuna, Rosario, Outman, Peralta, pretty much Dodgers, Braves, Pirates with some Minnesota is where I'm at. So that's a quick rundown of what I'm doing. Just going back by where I'm at ownership wise, I'll be slightly below the field on Snell, but I'll be pretty damn close. I'll be slightly below the field on Joe Ryan, but I'll be pretty close. And I'll be right with the field, if not a little bit above, probably a little bit above on Logan Webb, under on Wells, over on Wu, even or over on Herman, over on Grove, under on Keller, under on Elder, over on Williams, over on Berea. That's pretty much my rundown of pitching. So let's see if we got any questions. What's up to my man MJ in there? What's up to my man Rich B? So I understand, the guy who just pitched the best game of the season on the other side, and no one's got any love for him at all. Also a little bit of weather to worry about potentially here, but I am not interested particularly in a Baltimore stack. I think it's totally okay because it's a 6-game slate, but they just aren't registering for me as much. They are cheap enough, and you could argue that maybe Herman comes back down to reality after his last start. It's just, for me, probably not where I'm going to go. We do see that Herman has been extremely volatile and does give up the long balls, which is great news for Baltimore, obviously. But after how well he pitched the other day, and honestly, he had the two really bad starts on the other end of those. He dominated both Boston and the Dodgers. So I'm not going to sit here and just assume that Herman is terrible. whether if Herman throws 7 shutout innings, it wouldn't surprise me. If Baltimore scored 5 runs off of him in 5 innings, that wouldn't surprise me either. So I think you can go ahead and do it. It's just not where I don't have them as high personally, and I'm not spreading out my stacks that much. But yeah, Baltimore would probably be 6th or 7th for me, behind the Dodgers, Padres, Braves, Twins. And then I think the Yankees and Baltimore are pretty similar. I think that after that, I would probably go to the Giants and or Angels. But yeah, probably Baltimore's right around 6th for me. What's up, Rich? What's up, MJ? What's up? Let's see, we got the Double J question. Drop in any other questions and thoughts. We'll talk about what you guys want to do, what we're going to do here. Like I said, it's a funny slate where I have a lot of interest in the teams against the teams I'm pitching. I think if you wanted to take Baltimore definitely registers as a team you could take as that, the get weird stack. But maybe I will throw out that maybe San Francisco is the better one. With Brian Wu, he's going back, a lot of emotions involved. He's going back to his hometown. He's been awesome. He's got really good strikeout stuff, but he's a young guy, and if he gets a little trouble with finding the zone, this team could definitely make him pay. There is enough power in that lineup, even in a bad stadium like San Francisco, and I think we can do that. Thanks, Remo. I appreciate you too, buddy. Thanks a lot. Pitt play. I'm with you. I don't have full 5-mans of Pitt very much, but I definitely have a lot of 3 and 4-mans and a lot of one-offs. You go 1 through 6, and they're so cheap outside of McCutchen and Reynolds is too cheap for what his talent level is. So I'm completely on board with the Pittsburgh idea if you want to go that route, even though I am playing some Grove. So I'm with you. Clay. I think that Pittsburgh is just the only reason I don't mention them as one of my top stacks is I don't have them as a 5-man. But I have, like I said, a lot of 3-mans, 4-mans, 2-mans, and one-offs from that game. I still want a starting lineup, and I think that it could suppress ownership not getting the starting lineup for that later game if we don't have it in the next 53 minutes. So that is an interesting one. MJ is getting a lot of Pirates too. Yeah, I think the Pirates. So, and I think what I'm doing is probably a little bit more on the chalkier side of what people are doing with Pirates, which is like playing pieces of them but not doing the full 5-man. I think you can make an argument for them over the Twins, certainly. But I think that the ownership is not a big enough difference, and the Twins hitting weather is just so supreme. And like I said, I'm playing some Michael Grove, so obviously I'm not going to take hitters against my pitcher. So I think the Pirates are the other value team that you're playing to fit in your Braves, your Dodgers. At least that's what for me, my Braves, my Dodgers, San Diego for a lot of people, and then maybe getting to some of your Baltimore up there, Double J. All right, what else have we got here? It's been a while. I mean, it's not wild. It's just there was a lot of activity in the NBA offseason I was paying attention to over the last few days. So that's been kind of interesting. We can talk about that before next season starts. I've got some pretty strong takes of who I think is going to be really a contenders this year that are going to be off the board. But I want to hold it until I'm a little more sure where some of these guys end up, because I do think there's some really sneaky teams that make sense for really good long shot odds. And what I love about betting the NBA long shot odds is you're always like an injury or two away to 2 top guys, and you might end up finding your way to a title where at least you can cash out your bet for 20x when you're betting a team that's 500 to 1 or something like that. Atlanta, somebody made that bet with, I believe it was Atlanta, when they made the conference finals a few years back. Somebody had them at, I think, 1,000 to 1 or something crazy like that. And I want to say they got 100 to 1. They cashed out when they won game 2 against the Bucks, something like that. But yeah, because I've been focused a little bit on the NBA stuff lately. Top 3 stacks for me are in order: the Braves. I like Minnesota pieces. I don't have any. I have one full 5-man Minnesota, but mostly my big buy-ins are going to be Minnesota 4-man, 3-man, and surrounded by Dodgers and Braves. And look, I'm not trying to disrespect Mitch Keller. One, it's a small slate. Taking the Dodgers and the second best offense on the slate, I think is just a reasonably good idea. And also the Dodgers don't exactly struggle with good hard throwing right-handers. They can hit anybody. So that's my Dodger argument. And I think their ownership will be, it's going to be a little suppressed because they are facing a tougher pitcher. So I do like to try to get to them. And I just think that when they make the stack so hard to get to, like Atlanta and the Dodgers, I think you want to try to find a way to get to them when you have the two offenses that are just so much more elite. Remember what I was talking about on Friday? Just Atlanta was because their pricing, people just weren't playing them. And look, yeah, I finished 8th in the big 888 and 6th in the 121 and 7th in the 200 or the 250 or whatever, all with different Atlanta stacks, and just couldn't find the right cheap pitchers to get there. But gave myself a chance to win. If I could have gotten 10 points from each of my pitchers, I would have been rolling. But instead, I had negative 10 points from both of my pitchers. So I still cashed really deep with those negative 10 points. And I just think you bet on the explosive offenses when they're going to be lower owned because it's harder for other people to get to them. So for those reasons, I am playing the most of Atlanta, the Dodgers, followed by the Twins. But I think that if you wanted to mix in the get weird one for me would be the Giants, even though I'm playing a ton of woo. I think you want to try to take advantage when everybody, when people are sort of flocking to this young pitcher and then no one's paying attention to the offense at all for San Francisco. I think they're an offense that could potentially do some damage, and maybe I throw them into one of my 88s or something like that when we get off the air, just because I think it's kind of a good get weird spot for San Francisco here. If they can find a way to get to you, maybe he's a little too hyped up going back to pitch his hometown. There's a lot of ways you could try to figure it out, but I do think that it's an interesting idea to try and take a chance against a good young pitcher. And then the other one that I'm going to mention that I'm not doing. I don't have much of this, and it's partly because I saw that there was some ownership. I really like Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez as one-offs, but they're actually getting owned. So initially when they weren't going to be owned, I was like, oh, great, I'll play them against Joe Ryan. People won't do that. Nah, it's not going to be the case. So if I had to pick one other cheap guy to go with, it would be Nick Pratto for Kansas City to potentially hit a home run tonight off Joe Ryan. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for everything. It's been an interesting first half of the year. Sheets has loved it a little bit more than I have probably because he's hit the big ones a few times more than I have. Hopefully we can turn it around the second half of the year. Have been on the right track lately. The bets, by the way, for those of you guys who haven't been looking, the bets, I think what am I? My last, how many bets is that? 4, 9, 12. So out of 15 bets, I'm gone. My last 15 bets, I've gone 12 wins, 1 loss, 2 ties. So feeling good about the baseball bets, which were a little slow going to start with. And now we're sort of getting on the right track. Anyway, guys, any other questions or thoughts before I get out of here? Just let me know. Otherwise, I will leave you guys and be in Discord all night to go over those with you guys. Looks like Rody says he's getting to a lot of Grove. And those are the concessions you have to make. So that's a good question, MJ. I'm gonna take that one. You can DM me and I'll talk to you about that. But mostly, just to be completely straightforward, the straight bets are being mostly made through friends because it's too hard to do in California, and I don't like Bovada, and I want to get the better odds. So I shouldn't be saying that, but mostly for baseball, I do a lot more for basketball than I do for baseball. Yeah. Clay Davis says he's getting a lot of Seattle. That's interesting. That's one team I never thought once about tonight. I never try to pick on Logan Webb, but it is a smaller slate. So let's take a little look and see if maybe he's on to anything with the Seattle stuff. Obviously a downgrade, even though they're a bad hitter's park as it is. San Francisco's the worst. They are affordable in the sense that Teoscar, JP, Ty France, all that stuff. I'm having a hard time justifying it myself just because of how much respect I have for Logan Webb. Even when he gets hit hard, he doesn't give up home runs. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. Just a tough one for me to get to on a 5-man stack. Yeah, no problem, MJ. I'm happy to talk to you about it some other time. Almost got myself in trouble there, so I didn't want to do that for sure. That's weird. I got mail on Roto Grinders. That's weird. Never know what that's going to be. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys very much. Please click the like before you get out of here so we can keep doing these for free. Hopefully we'll have Sheets back in full effect soon enough. But at least, by the time we get around to football, we're going to have so many cool new things with the site you guys are going to love. We're also going to have a much more expansive roster. The work that Goldie's been doing has been incredible. Same with Rody, who we've had for longer, obviously. But these guys have been awesome additions. And we're going to hopefully keep adding to the team and adding more tools that are going to make things a little bit easier and more straightforward for you guys with less problems. As far as the weather and everything goes, I am going to keep an eye on it. But as of right now, It looks like we'll probably be okay with the bats. I do think that the late rain in New York, a little bit of a reason maybe not to stack. Could play 7 innings, but probably unlikely. And also maybe, but not a reason to fade the pitchers, because you don't really necessarily need the full 9 innings for the pitchers unless Herman decides to throw another perfect game in less than 100 pitches. And the storms around Minnesota are definitely like a little bit concerning to me. But look, we only have 6 games to choose from, so we got to take some stands, right? But because of it, maybe the answer would be to try not to have that many one-offs from Baltimore, New York, Minnesota, and KC. But as of right now, I'm just playing it all the way through. Anyway, guys, good luck to everybody tonight. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys. Let's see some screenshots tonight. I want to see some people sweating, some stuff happening. Good luck.